Welcome back to Central News. I'm Katrina McKinley. This summer is said to have been very popular reading time, but what about those that perhaps have been inspired to write their own book, whether it be a novel or a book of intellect or inspiration? Maria Carlton joins me now with some advice for people of all levels. Maria, what is involved when it comes to writing a book?
Well, the first thing to do is decide what sort of book you're going to write and why you're going to write it and who the readers are going to be, and then basically pull your manuscript together. Then presumably if you've got someone that's going to publish it for you, if you've got some help with publishing, you work with someone that's going to walk you through the process. But essentially you've got to work with an editor, you've got to get it designed right, you've got to make it look like a book, you've got to get the cover tested and designed, and then you've got to go through all the process of distribution and marketing. So there's quite a bit to it. Writing the book is really probably about 40% of the whole process.
Do people really realise that it is only 40% and there's all these other factors that come into it?
No, I work with a lot of people who sort of come along and they say, I've written this book and it's fantastic. And the problem is that they don't know what they don't know yet. And they start into the process and they realise that there's so much to learn and so many pitfalls and traps for people that have not gone through it before. And some of those can be really expensive.
So how do you encourage people to put all their thought patterns into a succinct process?
Well, we have a specific system that is identifying what the topic is, and particularly I work in non-fiction, so most of my authors are in that genre. So deciding what the main topic is, what are the main key points, and usually we work on 3 parts of the book, you know, the before, during and after, or you know, which parts particularly relating to a subject people want to write about. So for example, if it's about children, then you might say, right, let's divide it into toddlers, primary school and teenagers, and then there's all the subheadings that come off there. And so once we identify the 3 main parts, then we can identify what the chapter headings will be, and there's a process to go through to actually identify what goes where and how it all flows. And yeah, so templates and systems, you know, usually really help.
And what's this general time frame of putting a book together?
Oh, we've done books in as little as 6 weeks, or we've done some that have taken 2 years to get to fruition. Basically, a book can be comfortably targeted to be finished within an 8-month process, but that depends on how much re-editing or how much writing and how much other things go into it. As I say, the writing part's really only a small part of the overall process. So, yeah.
So the writing is a small part, but is there people that perhaps don't know how to write but they want to write a book, or what sort of happens in that situation?
A lot of people don't actually write their own books. There are authors and there are writers. So you can author a book without actually having written more than a few lines of it yourself or checked all of the information. And many of the people who are out in the big wide world who are writing prolifically several books a year are often, especially in non-fiction, are often using ghostwriters to write for them or help them to write the books. You don't have to be a great writer, but if you are someone who has a good ability to write, then it makes it easier for you to write yourself, but just use the services of someone like a book shepherd or a ghostwriter to help.
So how do you turn someone's dream of writing a book into a book that brings profit?
Well, the first thing I tell most people is that writing a book because you think you're going to make money out of it is the worst possible reason for writing, because the book industry is such that there are very few book sales, the royalties are very low these days. You can't expect to write a book and you know, be shopping for a Ferrari within 12 months. But what a book can do, and for most people, again in the non-fiction genre particularly, the book can open up other avenues. So you might make some money on the book as long as the book is well produced and it looks good and the bookstores are prepared to take it and it's saleable online and you've got other means of selling it from the back of the room if you're a speaker, for example. That's fantastic. But you need to make sure that you've got the right information going out to the right people and looking at how you can maximise the other things. So for example, people might write a book because they want to be getting higher fees as a coach or a consultant. People might write a book because they've got a lot of information that they really need the public to know about. Sometimes people will write a book thinking, yes, let's just, you know, see if people are interested in the subject, and they'll write maybe, will publish maybe 200 or 300 copies and then stop there and say, well, what did we learn from this? Now let's write the real book. So there's a lot of good reasons for writing books, but making a lot of money is not one of them. But if you want to make sure that you get your return on your investment, then doing a really good job of it's really, really important.
So why do people write books? What do they have to say that perhaps someone hasn't already covered?
Well, they say there's no such thing as a new idea. Basically, if someone's got a great idea, then what I help people to do is find what's really unique about that, what's special. So for example, there's a lot of books on leadership at the moment. We've just done a book for a guy in Auckland whose book is all about leaders and misleadership, and where leadership isn't actually working and all the training programs are in doubt because, in his view, there are so many things that aren't being covered properly. So, finding the specific special angle on your subject is really important, and also bearing in mind who the target market is and who's going to be reading your book is important. So once you know those things and you can pull out various special adaptations of other people's ideas or things that are your own unique look at things, then that's an easier way to target the whole process of what shall I write about.
Coming up after the break, Maria and I will continue with some more handy tips.